welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. I am Jasmine, your host. Thank you so much for listening in. I know that I have people from all over the world listening, and I'm like super excited. And I know you're probably my friends, and that's fantastic. I just talked to somebody, and he said, Jasmine, I've been listening to your podcast. So Omen is me. So I got somebody in Dubai listening listening to me. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
So everybody, today I have somebody yet again that, I feel like I know, but this is our first conversation. And her name is Carolina Gallardo Barker.
Yeah.
Hi, Carolina.
Hi, Jasmine. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for just going, yeah. I'm like, I said, so do you feel like coming on? She's like, yeah, okay, let's go. So maybe before we go ahead, maybe you can let people know a little bit about you, where you are. Not a they don't need a story, but where you're from Argentina and you're living in the UK.
That's right. Yeah, I'm in the southeast of the UK, and so close to London.
Okay.
And I came here 23 years ago from Argentina, and yeah, I still have all my family there. So
Do you
yeah.
go do you go see them often? Is it close? Like, hey, this is how geography is for me. Is Argentina and the UK close? No, eh?
Uh, Not really. It's about a direct flight will be about 12, 13 hours. And if you start, if you start going through Europe and whatever, it just takes you 16 or
Yeah, I
something.
think Argentina is
4 hours
closer
door
to
to
me.
door. Yeah.
Closer to me, right? I could go see
Yeah.
your parents quicker than you can.
Yes. So I should go visit you, then go visit my parents. That will be easier.
There you go. We've solved that.
Okay, done. You heard it here first. It's the deal.
So, before we got on camera, people, we were just, getting acquainted, and Carolina started something. So I loved her story because it just felt like she was just on the flow. You were just in the flow. She woke up one morning, she thought of something. She said, okay, maybe this is going to be this, maybe this is going to be that. And it turned into something that she never knew was going to turn into. I love those projects. They are the most fun project. This is kind of like my podcast. That's what happened. I was like, dream it, dare it, do it. And then I'm 5 seasons later, over 100 episodes, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. It's just a lot of fun. So, what was interesting? So, just to give a little bit a brief intro to the people to understand what the heck I'm talking about, is you started something called Connecting with Human during the pandemic.
Yes, yeah, we started a series called How to Connect with Humans, which is on YouTube, and it's free to watch and use for everybody that wants to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you thought it was going to be a talk.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I woke up one day and the name was in my head. And then I questioned why How to Connect with Humans if I know people are connected and whatever. And it was the pandemic, and I thought this is what we need. How to connect with humans. And so it just took a life of its own without, just sort of the idea just used me to get put together.
Yeah.
And I said to my partner Wayne, like, I think it's going to be like a one talk based on the three principles understanding covered by Sydney Banks that we've been around for like probably at that point for 7 years or 8 years, something like that. And it was like, well, how are we going to do this? Like, would be nice to have some of the original people that learned it from Sydney Banks. And we asked Chip and Jan Chipman, and they said, yes, of course, we love that. And my feeling was because Sydney Banks started sharing on his living room, like he would just give somebody a cup of tea and just start talking about life. And that's how it all started. And that was the feeling of like, well, let's have a conversation. Um, as we cannot go to each other's houses. And obviously I wasn't going to go to their house in you know,
Yeah.
in Canada. So, but allow, we don't realize probably now on how this Zoom access is bringing us all together. At that point, we're all, figuring it out, on how to get whatever the volume, people in, people out. It had people in. We invited everybody that wanted to join us. So it was a time where people couldn't go and visit, couldn't go and see, and this brought us together. To our surprise, I think the first podcast have like, I don't know, 50 something, if not more people, It's like you, I was like, well, we'll be glad if my friends come around, and if not, what a treat for us, just, and we'll put it there for whoever wants to watch it. And yeah, so that's how it started.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you know what I love, and the thing that really made me go, okay, we got to record now because I got an idea, is when you said, I'm gonna ask Jan and Chip if they would come. I don't know if they would, and they're like, yeah, and you were like, wow, they're gonna come, right? Like it just goes to show. So I don't know how many times, just to tell you how many times I talk to people that do podcasts, because there are a lot of conversations out there. There are a lot of people doing podcasts, and it's great. I think that there's room for everybody. And then I have people telling me, oh, Jasmine, you have all the big ones, like they call them the big ones, all the people that learn from Sid, you got a lot of them. And I'm like, they're like, I don't know if they'd ever come. And I remember thinking that, like in my first season, and I was like, wow, I wonder if Dickon would come. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna ask, and then you make up this whole thing about how they're never going to say yes. So let's not send them a message. Let's not humiliate myself and send a message. And it's so, for me, this community is so generous and so kind and so open. Like, nobody has said no. I've had one person who said, listen, my calendar's too full right now, right? And I was like, got it, no problem. But it was like, so it had nothing to do with, no, I'm bigger than you. I'm bigger than you. I don't have time for this, which is what I was making up, you know, and they just come. I don't know if that was your experience, but like, there's this community is so generous.
Yeah, exactly that. And I was listening to you and I was like, oh my gosh, like that is exactly my experience. Like that is exactly what happened. And it's incredible how we limit ourselves. Now, that, as you're saying, that got me questioning how many things I haven't done, thinking that whoever was going to say no,
Yeah.
or wherever they're going to say no. And that was the first time I thought, what? Because straight away, as soon as, I felt like a child playing, like, you probably feel the same. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I'll try and play. But I have nothing to lose in a way. Like, if I don't get my ego, like, sort of like, if I don't care about my ego getting a few punches, if that happens, then let's just play. I don't care. I have nothing at the moment to lose. So, so 2 seconds after they said yes, as Wayne and I were jumping up and down, going like, oh my God, we're going to talk. That was about relationships. I look at him and I said, should we send a message to Deacon Bettinger? And again, it was like, I feel like, oh, should I ask Madonna to come, to the podcast?
Yeah, exactly.
And I explained, and it just like, it was 2 seconds after Deacon was like, I'd be delighted. I love to. And it's like, it's like you're describing, this community is so generous, but they're also so thirsty for new experiences, and so giving for people that are starting and putting together anything to help and do anything. So what we felt is like, as we were inviting people, not only they weren't like, I'm bigger than you, so listen and learn. um it was, they were curious. They were curious about us. They were curious about the people that were turning up. They were like, we have invited them to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Yeah. And there's such a beautiful feeling around people, like it's like I don't have to deal with, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like it's still I think it's conceptual for a lot of people, like what I say, but it feels like you don't have any interaction with your intellect, like you're not busy with your intellect, so you're just in the moment, so I don't have to deal with the intellect, right? Because if your intellect shows up and then my intellect shows up and then the intellects are starting to talk, it could go crazy, right? But if we can just be with the flow, and sometimes the intellect shows and doesn't show, and just be, I don't know, there's a beautiful rhythm to it. It's like a back and forth contribution. It's an expansive mode.
Yeah, yeah. um yeah, I love what you're saying. The at the conference, the Group UK conference, that we've just been together, like you were speaking in French and I was
Yeah,
speaking in Spanish, um, and that's how we met, which was beautiful.
yeah,
Um, Argentine was saying something about when he was sort of like going, yeah, but I don't like this, and I don't like that, and I don't like what you're saying, I don't like, he then realized he was actually listening to himself. So it's like he was first putting across his idea about what the other person was saying, and then having an opinion about that. So the whole connection between humans, the whole connection between you and me, it stops being between you and me. It's just like, I'm talking to myself, and then you're talking to yourself,
mm,
and then people start wondering why they don't connect with each other, right?
yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. So when you were doing this whole conversation, which we're going to put a link to your information, so people, if you want to go listen to how to connect with humans,
Yeah.
you can go see him on the YouTube channel. But let's talk about it. So I've actually got an insight about that myself, about connection. Like I really saw how I used to complain. I used to complain how people didn't connect to me, you know, until I realized, wait a sec, I'm not connecting to anybody. But I love what you just said, that what Aaron said, which by the way, he just said yes to coming on to my podcast. So I'm gonna have
Yay!
him soon. Um, like it's true that when you're talking to somebody, if you're talking to the judgment that you have about that person or the thoughts that you have about that person, you're not talking to the person, you're talking to yourself. That's basically what you were saying, right?
Yeah, something around that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or even the if I have an opinion about what they're saying, you know,
Yeah,
which is what I'm hearing, because it may not really be what they're saying. I know this sounds like a bit
yeah,
confusing.
yeah,
Um, you know how people sometimes say, "Oh, you look great in that," and we don't always hear you look great in that, you know. It's like you may have some friends that you think, is she telling me I look fat in this? Or, you know, is my mom again saying like, why are you wearing such tight clothing? You know.
She's what do I usually look bad?
Exactly. Why
So
why didn't they compliment me when I was wearing
last
those
time,
stuff, right? So so it's what we hear, it's not really what the other person said. So if I have an opinion on what they said, instead of getting curious about what they mean or what they're saying, then I'm just talking to myself. It's like, you know, I might as well stay at home and
yeah,
look in the mirror and then, you know, make the same, you know, like you've got a beautiful dog there. Oh, she's so cute.
she
So
wants to come on again.
yeah, for those who are listening, just watch this somewhere because, you know, there she is, there she is. Hello, baby. She's so cute. And you know, the thing about the dogs and the cats is that when they look at themselves in the mirror, they don't know it's them usually. So the other day I was trying to brush one of my cats and I put him, bless him, on top of a glass table. I was growling. I was like, but you like this most of the time, right? So I didn't understand what was going on. And he was just seeing a menacing cat on his nose pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So he could see this cat in front of him. And then I thought, oh, but I didn't realize that. So I put him down. I thought, well, he's not in the mood for that. And got another cat. I only have 3. I don't have a hunt yet. And she did the same. So I thought, well, this is interesting. Why are both like being so cross about this when they usually like being brushed? So you see, that's what we do all the time. Like we just we keep having a relationship with ourselves, thinking that we have a relationship with other people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you come across that picture of like a dog smelling a picture of a dog's bum.
Yeah, I saw it.
And I think somebody put something, this has been my relationship with everybody my whole life.
Yeah.
We make it up most of the time instead of just actually getting curious about who the other person is. You know, they're you know, dogs are usually a lot more interested in others' doggies' butts than their own, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. So I first of all, I love this. You know, I really do love this. Like it the way it's like of course I knew this, but just the way that it's put into words just makes even more sense with him. Talking to myself constantly. It's like, yeah. Like I have like so I don't know if you follow me on social media, but I have these posts that I call the inspiration fix, the inspiration fix. And in one of them, I said something like monologues are great for stand-up comedy, but for relieving stress, not so much. You know, because we can just feed that stress like there's no tomorrow. So, but I'm seeing that there's that monologue is not. It's like it's just not good ever. Like having a monologue ever isn't good. So that's I just love this the way that it's verbalized. But let me ask you, out of so you and I have been in this conversation for a while. So we've just we discussed it. We've been in the conversation for a while. Or like I call it a conversation for the listeners who are listening, but it's just basically, the understanding of the 3 principles, or just understanding that, our experience of life is coming from the inside out. And it took it took some time, like for me, like it evolves, like it just changes. Like in the beginning it was like, oh, I got so aware of my thinking. It's like, and then I got caught judging my thinking.
Yeah.
I had this whole period where I was just it was cool that I could notice the thinking, but then I started judging it, and then it became pitiful. And then I started seeing, oh, wait, actually, my judgment is also thinking. So I was like, that's my thought again. So I keep seeing thought over and over again. I keep seeing how I use thought to suffer, to, to be angry, not enjoy my life, right? Whenever I'm not enjoying my life now, I'm kind of like, I must be in thought. I might be stalking something I'm thinking now. Starting to see that. What have you seen something similar? Have you seen, like, because we're, like I said, we've both been in the conversation for a while.
Yeah, very much like that. Actually, when I came when I found the principles, I thought I went to another, to a weekend of a workshop. There was something else with Ian Watson, and because he used to be an absolute uh, amazing teacher of homeopathy here. He had a school of homeopathy. Everybody trained with him, so he's huge. And I thought it was along that, whatever he did, I used to love. So, and this was an opportunity to be with him live on a weekend in London. So I arrived and he said something that I thought was so stupid. And then he said, I'm going to be repeating this for the rest of the weekend. So if you got it, you can just leave. And I thought, this has cost me a fortune. I didn't come here for 10 minutes and then, I'm going to go. And this is just so stupid and ridiculous. He's obviously having some sort of midlife crisis or something. It was just, I don't know if it happened to you. It was too simple to be true.
I didn't
Right?
have that. I didn't get that one.
Well, great, because I
I
was
think
just,
I think it was because I was just like complicating it in my head. No, but I understand how this thought does this with the thinking, and then I could do this, and I was all caught up in there. So
I thought, it's like, what? I think before I exist, this card says, like, yeah, right, it's been said some time ago. Like, what do you mean? It was like, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. And I went with a friend and she was like, oh my God, this is game changing. This is the holy grail. I was just, oh no. Yeah. She's so gullible, she's such a nice woman. She would love everything. And I was like, ugh. Came back on Sunday so cross. I was so cross. Jasmine, I just
spent
I
all
really,
this money.
I
Damn it.
know. And then he had like the missing link by Sydney Banks. I will open it. I was just like, I don't understand a word of it. Why is it so complicated, right? And and that evening before we left, uh, we had a break, and I was with my friend, just nibbling on some almonds, and it was in a place in London which is Regent's Park, and it's beautiful trees, and there's squirrels. So I had this almond on my hand, and this squirrel just comes up on one of my legs. So 23 years here, never had that experience ever. Sort of looks at the almond, so I give it to him, and he goes down and nibbles on the almond, comes back. We repeat the thing. This happened like at least 10 times. Then I point to my pocket, and the cute little thing was just grabbing them from my pocket and going down. And I was like, wow, what is this? Right? We could have stayed there forever. Like, we need to go back. I was like, I don't want to go back. And so she looked at me, not the squirrel, my friend. And she said, because that's another that's another area, is it? So and my friend said to me, well, maybe it's all about trusting. Because I was saying the level of trusting of this little animal about that I'm not going to hurt him. And that boom was like something changed there, something open, and I saw something. I didn't know what, but it was a feeling. And I came back home like the old program wasn't working and the new program was installing.
Got it.
I wasn't nowhere land like what you're describing,
Yeah.
but I saw something, but I don't. Is it about manipulating your thinking? Like I cannot stop thinking. And oh, maybe I shouldn't think about all those things. I should only have good thinking. And it's been a decade of constant rediscovering. And when I think I know, life comes and says like, okay, have a look again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like some people might not want to hear this. It's never ending learning. But actually that's life. We like I remember Carolina when I was in my 20s. I remember doing it on purpose to create habits because I didn't want to miss anything, you know? I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to wake up at this time and then I'm going to go shower and I'm going to shower this way because then I'm going to make sure that I get all the steps done. And then when I go downstairs, I'm going to start the coffee machine first and then I'm going to prepare I was like, I had this whole life process in my head and I thought that would make me safe, make me not miss out on anything, you know. But I missed out on many things, you know. I I I can't say I missed out on many things. I did a lot of things in in my mind, in my life. I mean, I did a lot of things in my mind too. But in my life, I did a lot of things. But I could see now how that was taking me out of the moment, you know, bringing me inside my head and not seeing what was actually happening, and I still do it. So the funny story, what I'm doing now is like when I go to the restaurant, I actually look at the menu to see if there would be anything else I would like to eat instead of the usual that I eat. Like, because, I'd go to these restaurants and I'd come in and I'd say, I'm going to have this. Thank you very much. You know, and, and then I would eat it and then I'd be like, oh, I'm so full. Oh, instead of, okay, how do I feel right now? What is possible right now? What would I like right now? And sometimes it's the same thing, but sometimes it's something different.
That is so beautiful, isn't it?
It's like I feel like people are listening. People are listening, going, "You're weird." if
But
if that's it, so be it, guys. I'm weird.
I don't think that's weird. I think that is a very simple, practical explanation of what this gives us. Um, that the freedom to just be whatever you want. Like you don't have to be. I am the type of person that always eats, chips with my steak, and then has ice cream for pudding. Like, and I, we call that control. It gives us we think that, as you were saying, because I completely agree. And I tried everything that came around from I don't know, any possible thing that was like from positive thinking to the law of attraction and the secret and whatever. And and it was like a doing. And I love what you're describing because it's like the song Superstition, right? When you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer.
Mm.
And I love that, because that's why this is an understanding, it's not a belief. Um, if you believe that, if you turn 3 times in the shower, that's going to bring good luck, and then, if you always eat this and not that, or separately or whatever, and you don't understand how things work, then you're surprised about not having the results you expected.
I love what you just said. Like, I'm stuck on it. This is not an understand. It's not a belief, it's an understanding. This is not a belief, it's an understanding. That is just that phrase itself. you know, it's like when you understand how to get on a bike and not fall, you understand it.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe that when you get off on get on the bike, you're not gonna fall. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You don't need to go and get, the whole encyclopedia about Newton's,
Yeah.
right? So law of gravity. We're so great at how we're put together that you can have the understanding on, like, well, I'm not gonna, it seems that if I jump from high places, I could break legs, so I'm not gonna do that. I don't need to go learn medicine. But when you have a hint on how gravity works, it allows you have the understanding, allows you, to ride the bike and drive a car and not, drive into people or buildings. Or when you have that understanding, the more understanding, the more possibilities you have, the more you're allowed to create other stuff. You can create a plane, right? You can create a trampoline. You can, so you study the difference between how it works in water, how it works in the ground for people. Creation starts, allowing you to do a lot of things, because it's going to work one way and one way only. And as far as you understand that, feel free to do whatever you want.
Yeah. Not beautiful. So a lot of the time it's just a misunderstanding. When we're suffering, it's a misunderstanding that we don't have to believe what we're thinking. What we're thinking is not the truth with a big T or capital T. What we're thinking is not necessarily reality. Also, it's a misunderstanding on what reality is.
Yeah. And again, feel free to feel, because that for me has been super freeing, that I'm not going to die from feeling pain. It's just part of the system of telling me what I'm making out of a situation. Like you and me have probably seen movies where we suffered,
Yeah,
like
we
we got
cry.
scared. Yeah, we cry because whoever's left, whoever in the, and then they don't get together and want them to get together, and you're like heartbroken or whatever happened. We don't know them, they're not our friends, they're not our family, but it took us probably 20 minutes or less than that to just feel that Bridget Jones is our sister, right?
Yeah.
And so, and we actually feel that we are Bridget Jones for those 2 hours of movies, and or Cinderella, whatever you want, like, and we're not afraid to suffer. We know it's the cinema.
Yeah, we do it all the time with the cinema. We just forget that when we're doing it in real life, it's the same thing.
Yeah, we don't spend then 3 days or 3 months crying about, the breakup of whoever with whoever. We just get over it. We understand. We have an understanding of what's been happening. we don't have the same understanding about our life, because the all the special effects are so good, it looks like reality. It's one of those dreams where you just you think, I should pinch myself to see if it's a dream. But I don't know if it's happened to you. If you pinch yourself in a dream, you still think it's reality.
Yeah, I listen. It's so funny that you're talking about a dream. I recorded an episode with it actually came out today, I think. It was with Gary Stein. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
Um, and I was sharing with him that I've been anxious lately, and I'm kind of like looking at that. I'm like seeing it. Oh, look at how anxious I am. And I wake up in the morning and I look at things and I get scared. And I'm like, why am I scared? And it's like there's a separation though. There, like it's not like before I would have been scared for real. Now I'm kind of like seeing the fear and I'm like, what is that? And and I had a dream and I dreamt in the dream, and I was anxious in the dream, which I get that it's totally normal. If I'm anxious awake, I'm going to be anxious sleeping. But in that dream, I met a guy and the guy was like soothing to me and he was like so nice and he was so supportive and I woke up slightly and I was kind of like, oh no, I don't want to wake up. I'm gonna be anxious again. Oh no, I don't want. Let me go back to him. Let me go back. Can I go back to him? And I was like, close your eyes. Come on, fall asleep, fall asleep, fall asleep. Just want to go back. But then I have a thought, wait, this guy doesn't exist. He doesn't exist. So this was all me. It had nothing to do with him. It was all me. Like your life, your experience of life is given to you from the inside out. So if you're feeling good, it's because you're feeling good. You are feeling good. If you're looking at a dog and you think, oh God, he's so cute. It's not the dog. It's you.
That is not right. That's the only exception, because your dog is just so cute.
She is.
Sorry, now I know that no exceptions, but like it looks so credible.
Yeah, she responds very well, but I think it's because I give her so much love that now she's just used to it, right, baby? Like she just responds. We have this symbiotic relationship. Those of you listening on audio, I'm just hugging my dog.
So hug the dog, people. Well,
Yeah.
hug your imaginary dog. You don't need the dog, as
Yeah,
we just discovered.
exactly. So I think that is a major realization. If we can only realize, like I look at, see, I've been single for a long time and I listen to people who want to be in relationships but when I'm with him, I feel like this. It's because of him. No, it has nothing to do with him. It's not him, it's you. Like you just think it's him. You're projecting it onto him, but it's you, all you.
Yeah, it's interesting, because this was one of my, since the beginning, was but what about this, right?
Mm.
Okay, you're gonna tell me it doesn't come from the food, and it doesn't come from him, and it doesn't come from my mom, and it doesn't come from, yeah. And then I thought, so what? So what is falling in love? Is it like, can I fall in love with anybody? Doesn't exist. So the connection I have with the people that I particularly love so much is not real. So that took me quite a long time, I have to say. And
But it's interesting because you use the word not real,
yeah,
but it is real.
it is real.
It
I
is
mean,
real.
this is,
I never use the word it's not real. I said it's not them.
it's
The
not there.
feeling is not coming from them, it's coming from you.
Yeah.
It is
And
totally real.
yeah, and again, I think the you know the conundrum is that when you establish a good connection with people, you can find things that are more than you. Like there are, I mean, it's difficult because people will say, oh, you're contradicting yourself. And that's
Yeah.
what I used to say about Sydney's videos constantly. There he is contradicting himself. So what is it? And and we'll have preferences, and that's fine. Like, you know, some people may be, well, we're talking about, I don't like dogs, right?
Yeah.
I hate pets, or I really like cats, but I don't like dogs because whatever the experience is, they have preferences. And we all have preferences, so that's okay. But I think once so that there's no other system than what we experience as our human experience comes from us, from our thinking. There's no other way, no other way. Um, so it's like when we say, like, we're all individual, we're all special, we're all different. It's like, you know, that little, you look at the ocean and it's that wave, you know, that peak wave is you, and you're that. But we're all the ocean. So it's not a contradiction. It's like, depends on what you're talking about. Like, we are all connected and together. Now, I can be more strong if I'm the ocean, that I'm on my own trying to, you know, it's like this community. It doesn't matter who's talking or who's saying whatever, as far as we're all inviting people to the conversation. It can come from me, it can come from you, it can come from the feeling from whatever, you know. It just, because together we have more power, more magic, more movement. So you can then create tsunamis, or you can create the most amazing waves that move, like, you know, so dancing with music. And the spectacle of the ocean and the sea. So then I realized that when I establish good relationships with people and we're connecting, I can go, as you were saying, instead of being here in my head, I can just drop from my ego and just connect from that place of, we are together and we are so much, you know, I'm really limited and boring in so many things. It's just like looking on the disk of my computer for information without connecting to the internet. So the internet is the ocean. We have limitless possibilities in a way. Whilst me on my own, I'm like this, you know, this wave that, and I'm as much as the ocean. That's the strange thing that blows your brains away. Like, every drop of you is the ocean.
Yeah. I love it. It's like that's what creation is, right? Like I, you know, my business, it's like, let's make it happen, right? Let's make it happen. And like when I started doing what I do, I was doing it alone, you know, and I was doing it alone for somebody, right? So I was working for somebody and I was doing it alone. And then I was alone in my mind creating whatever I was creating, and then the person would come and nitpick one of the things that I was creating, and I'd get really upset. Don't you screw up my creation. Don't you do that, you know. And since I've been in this understanding, what's really beautiful is that now I actually want to co-create. Like, I love to listen to people and have them tell me, I want this. And I'm like, okay, what do you think? We could do it like this, like this, like this. And they go, huh? Can we do that on top of it? I'm like, yeah, we could do it like that too. And it just, things get created out of it. Like, I don't know how many things I've created in the last 3 years from the pandemic, but it's been a very cool ride. It's kind of like, okay, this is like, and then it takes a life of its own, and then it just continues to grow, and people add and people remove, and it's just such a beautiful process, as opposed to when I was in my little head and, you know, getting upset when somebody touched my game. Yeah. Yes, it's a beautiful, expansive conversation. And I hope that everybody listening, you've enjoyed this. I know I have. This was fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I
So
loved
much
it.
fun.
So, Carolina, I think this is a perfect time for us to end the episode. But before we do, I would like to maybe, do you have a website for people if the people want to talk to you?
Yes, so it's back to being you.co.uk. So that's with the number 2, back to being you.co.uk. You can also find me on Facebook or Instagram as Carolina Gallardo Barker, or you can find me as How to Connect with Humans. That's on YouTube as well. So any of that.
I will put it in the description, people, so that, oops, I clicked my mute button. So I will put it in the description, and I want to say thank you very much for accepting to come and play with me.
Oh, it's been beautiful. Anytime. I absolutely enjoy this. It's like I could be here talking for 10 more hours.
Yeah,
It
I
was like
know.
a second.
I know. I don't even know how long we've recorded, but I'm pretty sure we hit the 30-minute mark. So thank you again, and I'm going to say to everybody, dream it, dare it, do it, live the life that you want, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.